what they did was they marched over 1 million to 2 million Catholics from North Vietnam down into South Vietnam, which automatically started the tension. And then they began to systematically eradicate the Buddhists, killing them all off. So when you eradicate Buddhism with a great war, murder, genocide, then you can incorporate a Catholic or Christian model, which is what is being adopted at this time. And then through that, you could tell them who your leaders are. From that point, the land belongs to them, the resources now belong to them. So religion has no basis today, and all the books you're given have no basis in freeing you. In fact, all books from religions, from the three major religions, are meant to incarcerate your mind. And that goes for Islam as well, as practiced. It goes to Judaism or Israelites as practiced. Any organization, and I say this for any organization, whether it be black, white, or indifferent, any organization at its inception, just like a child, is innocent. It is open. It is beautiful. It has potential. It grows. But by its very existence, by its very seeding, from people who are not perfect, its very existence corrodes. When it begins to grow old, it becomes corrupt. And then the organization, which was actually set out to serve the people then end up becoming servants of the organization. So all organizations, by their very forming, are evil. And I say that based on a metaphysical tip. All organizations are evil. If the human entity, as an entity individual in God's eyes, as God, collective and separate, cannot see what is right and what is wrong, then there is no need for us to be even existing. The internal barometer of all people from the time they are grown and they have understood the right and the wrong, they know what right and what wrong is. It's an instinct. There are animals that are born that know exactly what to do as soon as they drop out of the womb. Here we are, the highest creation in the universe, and we have to be taught what is right and wrong. And you know what? It's said that when man loses its instincts for right and wrong, it elects leaders to write laws for it. So if you look today at the books of law, they can cover a whole city block and then go about 10 stories high. When you have to write that many laws to regulate the people, that means the people have become insipid, they've become stupid, and you have created a sense of ignorance in them and a sense of morality in them, so that right and wrong has been bred out of them. So now control is the only answer, and that's exactly what you have. People controlling you, and that's what religion is. Religio, which means to regulate, which means to control. So brother, I would say put the book down for a minute. Put the words and terminologies down and seek out what your ancestors meant by these terms and these phrases. Seek out what the names Abraham means. Seek out who Moshiach is. What is Aaron, Aharon. All these names were not people. They were principles. They were principles of energy, activity. They were principles of life dynamics. And once they have been recognized by you, they are given a name. And that name now becomes a principle that one wants to either incorporate in as their behavior or associate with them from your own behavior to that behavior. So when I call the wind is a principle. I would not deify the wind. I would not call the wind by a name and say that wind walked the earth with 2 legs and arms and came and told me by its breezes that this and so. Well, that's how your ancestors wrote. When the lightning struck, they gave a name to that. When the wolf howled, they gave a name to the wolf. They studied the behavior of nature, and through the behavior of nature found that nature had a multiple personality. And through that began to name each of those personalities. And those personalities were given specific duties within the scheme of natural order. And what you are reading is our ancestors would never have dreamed that you would have taken these things literally. The book of the Bible is not to be taken literally. The truths that are seated within those words were never meant to be taken literally. Jesus walking on water, raising dead people up out of there, 5,000 people from a couple of boats. That was never meant to be taken literally, and you are a fool if you do read it that way.
That's right.
You see, until you understand the deeper metaphysical principles about what it is that you're reading under religion, then you will remain a fool. You will remain a controlled fool. And that's more dangerous, because now you become a parasite on your people, and you go from protector and provider to predator. How much billions of dollars are siphoned out of our community every year by the churches? Billions of dollars that could have gone into creating schools to teach us who we are. How many billions of dollars are given to the Pope based on you putting in that little hat? Do you know that as of, I would say 5 years ago, the IRS has written laws and documents that your minister, in order for him to have a bona fide church, he must go to the IRS and get a 501c3 patent. 501c3 is essentially supposedly a tax exemption certificate. What they're telling you is that as a church, you are supposed to receive permission to be from the state. And now it is the IRS that anoints your ministers. And if you have a minister flying a flag of the United States of America with a gold border in your church, then you are in the church and synagogue of Satan. And you are a fool. Because essentially those churches are set up to deal with your frustration, the pain that you have. You have a sense of loss in your personality, in your nature, that the church fills. You need a sense of authority. The church gives you that. You need a sense of nurturing. The church gives you that. A sense of community. The church gives you that. But we had that, and it was called our culture. So you gave up your culture, your autonomy, so that you could become part of the cattle that is herded from place to place. Subconsciously, psychologically, you have become part of the herd. And at any time, you know what happens to cattle. They're sacrificed for food. In this case, your mind has been sacrificed. Everything about you is being sucked by these vampires of consciousness. And that's what I call the church. That's what I call their teachings. That's what I call your minister. He sucks you dry. No Christian will kill another Christian who threatens your community. He won't even kill a Muslim. He won't kill anybody. But they will send you to kill for them. You won't kill anybody that you know is threatening your community. You won't even die for them. You're not even prepared to die. You know, the church has made you docile. You know, Reverend Fatback and Pastor Pigfeet, all of them have become hugely gorged on the wealth of fraud. That's how Christian church was started. Josephus, the so-called Jew who wrote the history of the Jews, I believe it was he that said, the Roman Church has defended by violence what it acquired by fraud. Anytime, any place that Christianity is threatened, or I guess the ability of those who rule Christendom, anytime they have a chance, or they find that they need something from your space, they will launch a crusade. It's like they're doing on Bin Laden right now, and those people in Afghanistan, with the help of the British. Yeah. That should be no surprise. But you see, everybody thinks it's the Queen of England and the English Parliament and all of these people. It ain't them. It's Rome. It's the Pope. It's the Roman Church. The Empire of Rome folded over to become the Church of Rome. And the Church of Rome carries on the dictates of the Roman Empire. And it is the Roman Empire that now rules. We are ruled under Roman law. You know? So, my brother, put the books down that they give you to read. Because it's making you stultified. It's causing your stultification of reasoning and logic. And it precludes you from going into places where the truth of the matter that you need to find around that information, it precludes you from getting that.
What about those who say Adam was the first man that God created? And I would like for you to address how man is God, if he is in his right state of mind.
Mm-hmm. You know. Good point. The word Adam simply means red earth. The Spirit of God, or Aleph. The word Adam is a compilation. You're reading the Bible, and since we're dealing with a Hebraic text, and the Hebrew is part of an old system of writing through symbologies that actually came from the petroglyphs and hieroglyphic writings, symbological writings. And most writings were done essentially for symbology and to put down the chronicles of the day. Stories were written in the higher texts that came out of the temples to explain science, to understand what it is that we have now as science. Only the initiated had languages, or were given languages in order to read, because they were going into great temples, and these languages and these terminologies were all scientific terminologies. Adam was a scientific terminology and a compilation of words, A-D-A-M, and if you know the Hebrew, Aleph, Deleth, Aleph, Mem, you see. So these words all come together to create the scenario of what the human structure represented, and that is the red clay, which means it was created out of the elemental matter that we call matter, the elemental materials that we call matter, from what we call matter. Adam was not the first man. The first man as a singularity or as a consciousness concept always existed. There was no creation of man. Man and God are one. Man is the expression of God. Man could not be separated or have a beginning because God never had a beginning. And since man is God's vehicle in third dimensional matter, then man always existed, or at least the idea of man always existed. And since there are so many different planes of existence, the idea of man has existed in so many different ways. There are so many different designs to what we call man. Adam was not the first man. Adam was first